Hey now, it's your girl, Little Bacon Bear. You might know me from the airways, 93.9 WKYS, 7 p.m. to midnight. We are streaming virtually. We are hanging out virtually. I call this hanging out because I feel like we hanging out. And this might be what we
Yeah.
have right now. Now, so I don't butcher anyone's name or mess up any intros, I want to give you a chance to intro yourself. So I'll start going around. Dr. Belina Shaw, we'll just start with you right there because I like your shirt because it matches my slippers.
Thanks, Little Bacon Bear, and thanks to everyone in county government and everyone here at Radio One for having us on for Mental Health Awareness Month. And this is Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. So my name is Dr. Belina Shaw. I'm the medical director of the Prince George's County Health Department's Behavioral Health Division. And I am just so excited to have this great panel of young people where we're just going to talk about everything mental health and COVID.
Well, I appreciate you already offering your perspective as a professional with the doctor right there. If I go for the missus and I meant doctor, please don't get me, okay? Professional with it. So, Deja, I'll move on to you. I love your braids. I'll allow you to introduce yourself to the DMV one time and beyond.
And thank you for the braids and earlier. You are beautiful. But my name is Deja Rose, and excuse me, y'all. I'm a little nervous, but
girl, you ain't got no reason to be nervous. We in the house with it. We by ourselves with it, but now we here together.
I know it's just the little jitters. That's all.
So, Deja, tell me this: what perspective do you offer as a youth? Because you might be close in age, but I feel like you got a real interesting perspective to offer.
Okay, so I'm a GED student and also a part of MYC workforce program, and alongside with Deja here, I'm a youth advocate for the Prince George's County Youth Action Board. So, and I think we close to age. I think so.
We might be, but you said youth action board, so you about that action. You're about getting to it and being productive. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Dejanay, I'll move on to you because you said this is your partner in crime.
Yes, she is. This is my partner in crime. My name is Dejanay Day. I'm the co-chair for the Prince George's County Youth Action Board. And I can honestly say I'm here just so people can get the message about how much mental health really means so much in the community and to break
and
that
it affects
stigma.
us all, right?
Yes. And we all
we'll double back on that because I think that you also have an interesting perspective to also to offer as an advocate. So we'll get there. But Mr. Hayes, last but not least.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joshua Hayes. I'm a licensed master social worker for the state of Maryland. I'm currently working out of Prince George's County Department of Social Services in the Ready by 21 unit. So what we do is we help foster youth aging out of the system to help them kind of transition to independent adulthood. I provide clinical case management and intervention for those youth transitioning. I provide resources around housing, education, employment, things of that nature, and just overall helping youth to transition as successfully as possible. And I just have a passion for working with young people and my community in particular, and helping us to improve our mental health as much as possible.
So ultimately, you are a jack of all trades. You can do a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say that.
We can appreciate that. Definitely adapting in a digital age and where we are now is important to be able to pivot. Now, Deja and Dejanay, I do want to pivot to you guys because you both said that you were on a youth action board. Can you give me a little bit more insight about what that takes to be on that board and what is it?
I can say the Youth Action Board is an advocacy group for people that has been through homelessness, that advocate strongly in homelessness, or have almost been through it. You have to be 16 to 25, and you have to have that passion to make a change within your community.
I think that it's important that we highlight when we're talking about young people that it doesn't just mean people under the age of 18, and your mental health issues don't just start at 18 and they don't start at 15. This is a large block of age here, and so many different transitions in your life happen between 15 to 25, right?
Yeah.
So when you were starting to get your way in adulthood and you're starting to get your bearings about yourself, what were some of the struggles and the issues that you encountered as a young person, just being an advocate? You knew you need somebody to tap on, but what were some things that you were seeing in your life that were like, I need somebody else?
I can say with my experience, I was homeless throughout college. So I seen a lot of people go in and out of the shelter. So I seen different people go through different things. But we all had the same thing. We were all homeless and we was just trying to find our way. So I believe like more of a support system, like me and Deja's program does, have more of a support system, have more of an area where the youth can speak on changes that we really need. So I can say stuff like that. This the youth having an understanding that our voices are being heard and they need to be heard. And Deja, she can piggyback off of me if she wants to, because
And let me
even
jump
though,
in,
oh, go ahead. I'm
Jason.
sorry.
No, no,
Yes,
no,
ma'am.
no, because I think also you have talked about your experience with homelessness, and homelessness is a big stressor.
Yes.
Homelessness hits your mental health hard, and a lot of times people end up in homelessness from, from also some stressors that might have gotten you to those things that were stressful that got you to the place of being homeless as well. So I would love to hear too about how like homelessness and your life experiences affected your mental health as well.
I can say it. Sometimes in the midst, I felt like I was alone. I really did. Even though I had people around me, even though I was there for people, I felt like I was alone sometimes. Like, dang, why am I going through this? Where are the services at for us? There are barely any services for us. So I'm just glad I'm a part of the project that is being formed with the Youth Action Board and a Youth Homeless Demonstration Project, because without that, there wouldn't be no growth. And I'm glad I'm kind of with the growth within our community.
You're leveling up.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, that is something that is, I think, important to definitely hone in on and think about when we're talking about homelessness, especially when it relates to young people. It may not look very typical, and everyone's household may not look the same. And sometimes you can look and be forward facing, completely normal, but not know where you're going to get your meal tonight or know where you're going to be laying your head tonight. So sometimes it's recognizing the signs in the language, the unspoken language amongst one another to know these things. What are some things to look for when we're trying to look out for our friends that may be in a scenario that may not be like ours? How can we help out? How can we look out for one another?
I can say some people, they will become distant. So people that aren't normally distant, that becomes distant, that's an issue. You'll see the smaller things like they don't feel like getting up in the morning, or they miss a day or two of work back to back without calling them for
Mm,
work. I'm like, if they're inconsistent with things that they're consistent with, that's a sign right there without it even being spoken.
I
And
can
that's a
see
big
that.
sign of That's a big sign of
Yes.
depression when people are like not showing up and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to definitely say that, Dr. Shaw, you would say, I'm sure as a doctor, and I'm no doctor, the I don't want to say laziness, but this could be misconstrued as like COVID blues also, or I just don't want to get up today. But it means a little bit something different when we're talking about beyond day one and day two and day three. We're talking about a long span of time. What are some things to look for in ourselves, Dr. Shaw?
I think, not sleeping the same, not eating the same, isolating from others, those are all big signs. And then sometimes people just don't feel like they want to go on or they don't want to live. All of those can be signs or symptoms of depression or anxiety. And I'd love to hear from Deja or Dejanay from, if they've experienced any of that or they know people that have experienced that. And also Josh, works with young people as well.
Absolutely. I'll move it over to Miss Deja
I
here. Can
had
you tell me? Yeah, go ahead,
I
Deja. Take
had
it away.
I had struggled and also had struggled with homelessness and mental depression at the same time. I'm gonna fully go into depth and explain a little bit about myself a little. So me, I was going from school to school, jumping from school to school, one elementary school 1 year, maybe didn't finish out the whole year, then a middle school, then go from another middle school, then back to the middle school that you was at, I was at for, then another stuff from high school. I was never really at a consistent place for a long period of time. So that bothered, as I grew into adulthood, it bothered my mental health. And also, I couldn't stay and have a lot of friends in one neighborhood. So basically, I want to say I'm a DMV baby. I've been around the whole DMV. I Yeah, so it was a struggle for me, and by me being the age that I am, I'm still learning and I'm still growing, and I still do struggle with depression and anxiety to this day.
Well, I definitely think that this is something that we work through. It's a marathon and definitely not a race. But a common thing that I'm hearing here is about instability. And I definitely want to unpack the instability of 2020 because that's the only way that I can describe last year. It was a weird year and it had an impact on all of us. But before we dive into that, I do want to get into a poem, a spoken word piece by Brittany Young, aka New, about the Black mentality. Because as I see a lot of Black and brown faces here on the screen, I want to make sure we talk about things that impact us also.
Don't nobody got time for that. What you mean you depressed? Anxiety attack, now you can miss me with that. Bipolar girl, please sit down and relax. Yeah, that's mental health in a nutshell when you're hurting while Black. It's demonized, like our pain isn't human, like strength isn't something we forgot we can't afford to lack. Trauma trapped under brown skin is often masked by mantras like Black don't crack, but running from ghosts of childhood past often speaks up in moments of anger, fear, and setbacks. In those moments, suppressed pain well up with anxiety attacks, triggering moments of unsolicited nostalgia like Love Jones and Love and Basketball soundtracks. Though we glisten, we as a people too often neglect what's within. The past molded into humor, we deflect and grin or flat out throw these hands to protect ourselves from being shattered again. From cradle to grave, we zombie this life like we're still slaves, ingrained in us. It's that sickness that we crave. It's a subconscious reminder that suggests that keeping it moving is safe. It's that false truth that suggests that men that don't cry are brave. Even our former kings and queens are portrayed stoic in ancient caves. And still, we just zombie this life like we still slaves. It doesn't always have to be as deep as post-traumatic slave syndrome. Sometimes it's just the echo of memory that makes us go numb. Let's not forget the detriment of generations with unaddressed trauma embedded in family facades. Perhaps, if we acknowledge that the little girl walking around, quote unquote, acting grown has a story of her own, and the little brown boy entangled in trouble is possibly detached from a family of his own, as though little Black girls haven't been used as puppets in sexual acts at the hands of ones that they should have trusted, prematurely inciting her to perform for crowds and lovers alike, attributing her worth with lust, like her image in the media hasn't always been paradox, impossible to please an insatiable desire for the world to put her body in a box. As though brown boys overwhelmed with aggressive mamas and void of daddies don't still need to be held, reminded that they're much more than NBA or rapper, and without those labels, you still have not failed. Like our men, that they don't need to be reminded that they can in fact break cycles, and sometimes it is them, yes, it is them that can be the ones to lead the pack to follow. As though Black is not now trending like a 90s fad for those without melanin. And the only time Black isn't lit is when brutality is roaring against our Black skin. As though when I can't breathe escapes lung, and mamas wake up cradled in the echoes of memories and reruns. It's those memories, those reruns, knowing that even though morning comes, and yes, morning comes, not until glory will she behold her son. It's true that our nation refuses to see our trauma and pain as a means to help us sustain the purpose, the value in us that remains. But we too neglect the good work of releasing the emotional strain on our heart's brain. Our actions, they manipulate minds around us to spectate and assume that they can judge and jury what manifests as action, but be reminded that what we all see is simply a reaction. And no matter what they say, sis, addressing your mental health is in fact a move in the right direction. And bruh, I know the process of working on you, it may seem taboo, but if I don't work on me and you don't work on you, then who's to blame for the futures tomorrow that never comes true?
I just got a snap for that one. I almost started clapping like, okay, sis, there was a lot to unpack there. That was highs and lows, right?
Absolutely.
So, like I said before this, we were talking about being Black and brown. I feel like our issues are definitely different than anyone else's. We are fighting a
Absolutely.
separate battle that is ours and ours alone. And it varies with
Absolutely.
Black women and Black men, but the uniqueness about us is that we are all Black, and it is the Black experience, and we are all invited to the cookout. I guess that's our unifying thing, right? So with this past year of 2020 definitely being a year of social distancing and COVID, and I said before that social distancing is a term we probably shouldn't have ever used, because I think that it made us all feel a little bit distant from one another. We felt far, and it can be alienating, and it can be alone, and it can create unsettling instability around yourself. But what I found that works for me is adapting and pivoting, finding a way to adapt and figuring it out for another day. Like, it don't got to be 10 days, but just for one day. So when we're talking about last year, let's talk about some of the things that were going on and the things that we were seeing on our screen when we're talking about the hashtags. We're talking about George Floyd. We're talking about Ma'Khia Bryant and all these Black lives that are continuing to be lost. I'm tired of Black death, and I'm sure that you are tired of Black death and Black loss and Black pain and Black suffering too. Tell me about your last year, Dr. Joshua, Mr. Joshua Hayes.
Yeah, it's definitely been a trying year. Just seeing the amount of just death and loss and grief, and just to sum it up, it's been exhausting to say the least. It just feels like for us as Black people, we're continuously being re-traumatized and going through things. It seems like one after the other. We can't even kind of get some relief in between, the trauma and the struggle and the tragedy. We don't really have time to even process it, because then there's another one, and so that's been something that's been extremely difficult, within the pandemic and everything, that goes along with that, as far as just the stress, the uncertainty, the anxiety, and just feeling isolated. And so continuing to experience trauma and seeing, Black people being killed by the hands of the police, it just exacerbates, what we're already going through as far as our mental health, and it's just an additional strain. So it's been a struggle for sure, and just having to kind of navigate those things and kind of figure out a way to still function day to day. Has definitely been a challenge, but we're figuring out a way to do it. Like you said, we're adapting, and it's hard, but it's definitely something that we've been able to do and that we've learned as Black people. So yeah,
We definitely
it's been a
adapt. We
challenge
make something out of nothing.
for sure.
What was I gonna say? We definitely have to make something out of nothing, and it can be tough to get yourself kind of out of bed as we continue to fight two pandemics at once. Young people, Deja and Dejanay, maybe one of you guys can speak to this, but how has this affected your life, and how has it affected other young people around you? Because I think even some of our adults are different. They don't see it the same way. They're not on Twitter. They're not on Instagram. They're not on Instagram Live and seeing these things in real time action. They're just catching it on the flip side on the news sometimes. But we already seen it on Twitter. It affects us differently.
With the pandemic, for me, but for us being independent for a whole year, it's overwhelming and it's frustrating. And with me personally, it helped me better my communication with my peers and with family members, and it gave me a spiritual awakening. It woke my eyes. It woke me up in certain aspects. Well, let me not say certain. In every aspects as a Black American, and everybody on this panel and who's watching can relate too. It's been a stress, and it's really difficult when you're so used to being out, be able to do on your normal basis, on what you normally was doing on a daily basis at first. It's like now you're limited to so many things. You can't see your loved ones, you can't see your friends. You feel like you're isolated and you're trapped. And it's hard to adapt with everything going on, but you have to.
I want to say shout out to Christian, because she said it is in fact hard, and we do know how to adapt, because we always do. We always make something out of nothing. You always make that dollar stretch a little bit further. You only one stop away, Tell me about, to be solution based, tell me about some things that you have implemented in your life that bring your wellness and bring you back to a life before quarantine and back before this. And, I think when we're talking about police brutality and just the fighting the Black battle every day, that is something that won't be solved every single day. But I do think that the answers lie in the next generation, because we're smart. We smarter, and we're not our ancestors, and we're ready for the next generation, and we're ready for growth and betterment. So I applaud to that. I applaud to that. What are some things that you implement in your own life that promote betterness and health and wellness? For me, I like to take some walks.
Walks, me walks, listen to music. Now I'm journaling for me. I was consistent with at first I was inconsistent with my journaling. Now, by us being in this pandemic, I'm getting good with my writings now. I
You
am
turned
getting
it into
good
Big
with
Lotto on her. She writing bars.
He's writing a lot of
it.
And Dr. Shaw, to patients, what do you suggest? What are some things that you offer that are solution based that contribute to wellness?
So I think one big thing was last year is we got all of it out of our routines. And so I think after a while, one of the biggest things was what's old is new again. So if you used to listen to music, or you used to write, or you used to do things that sometimes we did stuff that we didn't even realize was coping, that was coping. So if it was, listening to music on your drive to work, and that was your way to calm down and relax and have your time and space, and then you don't drive, then did you just lose your and just sometimes just little things that we could do that we should remember, what did I used to do between, listening to music, talking to people, and reaching out. I think being very intentional and reaching out to people. And that's, obviously the pandemic's slowing down, but we still got some ways to go. So, still just now being intentional with reaching out to people, connecting to family, friends, peers, whoever, just not feeling like, you're stuck because of this pandemic.
I definitely want to speak to the coping piece. I think it is important that we emphasize on healthy coping mechanism, because I have seen a lot of young people take on some real bad habits, some wine moms and listen, I've seen some unhealthy coping habits happen here on the timeline, from Clase Azul to 1942. And taking trips and doing all types of things. So I think that it is also important to look into your friends and look into their habits and see how they're changing, because back to the advocacy, back to your peers, sometimes it's you that sees it into your friend that somebody else might not see. So
I'm wondering if actually the young people want to talk about any unhealthy coping skills that they ran into in this last year, or Josh saw with the other people too.
That you got to tell on themselves.
No, that's what they're youth advocates, and they're youth folks. And give me a second, I'll think of one.
Tell the truth, shame the devil, young ladies. Go ahead.
No, I can say my eating during the quarantine, that was my bad habit right there. And I'm just like, with the quarantine in the beginning, I was slacking a little bit. It was completely different. You would think, as a young person, that you would like being on the internet all the time and having meetings on the internet and staying home. Not me. I am a social person. I need to see you face to face. I need to feel your vibes. I like hugs, give you a handshake. But I'm just like, I have to shake my own hand over here.
And I'm with Dejanay on that one. Like when I go up to my program for school, is I can't hug nobody. Everybody's 6 feet or in different rooms. It's ridiculous. Let me just say that it's ridiculous, and it don't. I miss it. I miss giving hugs. I miss just running on people, jumping on people. Like I miss you. Like come on now. Even when I seen Dejanay like 2 weeks ago, I jumped on her because that's how much I missed her by being virtual. I could actually see my friend face to face.
And I'm surprised I didn't drop you.
I was gonna say, Deja, now I know what to expect. Let me brace for impact when we meet Deja in real life. She jumped.
I jumped. Like I'm a passionate person. Like I'm a kind-hearted person. I just love being around people that I love. Just people in general. I love meeting new people.
Well, before we pivot to talk about some more other healthy ways to promote wellness in your life, I do want to take this time to listen to a song. It's called Don't Worry. And maybe we're not going to worry, or maybe we will worry a little bit less after this song by Brianna. Take it away, Brianna.
My
talk to my guitar, talk to my imagination, invite it into alcohol. I tried some more to see until my voice was sore. Tired of empty conversations, 'cause no one hears me anymore. 100 million stories and 100 million songs. I feel stupid when I sing. No one is listening to me. No one is listening. I try to talk to stars, but they always get it wrong. I feel stupid when I pray. So why am I praying anyway? If no one is listening, anyone, please send me anyone. Lord, I need someone. Is there anyone? Please send me anyone. I need someone. Is there
Come on now. Now we got to go ahead and say that that was not Brianna, unfortunately, but it was Amaya. Did I get her name correct? I think it's Amaya.
Maya Jenkins.
Amaya Jenkins with the Demi Lovato cover to It's Anyone. So we'll clap it up for her because that wasn't spoken word this time around. So to the note of healthy coping mechanisms, what are some things that you're seeing your friends do that, you know, okay, for example, for me, I don't really work out, but I see working out working for other people. What are some other habits that you feel like your friends are picking up and some other productive things that they're doing in their lives post-quarantine that work for them? Well, mid-quarantine, it's not post, sorry.
You want to do it? You want to get started, Deja, or you want me to do it?
Well, for my lovely friend here, she's a creative art. Like, she's really good at drawing. She's a better drawer than I am. And also with her eating habits, I admire that with her diet. I admire that with my health concerns, with my health issues. So I admire her with that. And you want to take it, Flor Dejanay?
What you got, Dejanay?
I can speak on Deja. I may draw better, but you write better than me. You write way better than me. I'm just like, with this, I seen her grow and learn more. She has opened my eyes to like kind of branch. I'm like, I branched out, but branch out a little more to people and to ensure them that everything's okay and vice versa. And it's the same with all my members, all my friends, my family. Everybody's been really coming together this time around. So I believe that's coping right there. Everybody just coming together and helping each other out.
You know, Dejanay, I won't say that I'm shy, but I do have a little bit of like a shy element about myself. Like I turn inward. It could be hard to reach out, you know, to say I got something going on or then I'm feeling something. Is that something that you can relate to at all, ladies?
That's me.
Sometimes that's me.
That's me all the times. Before even doing the event today, we did 2 reruns today. Me and Dejanay. We did 2 reruns because I get nervous.
Okay. Well, in the vein of being solution based, there's someone else that is nervous that's watching this. Like, dang, Deja girl, you doing it? You really up there talking?
Mhm.
So, what advice would you offer to someone who is not necessarily as forward or can't come to those answers or get that uncomfortableness off?
It's okay. Be you. That's all I can say. Be you. Be you the best way you can. Then yeah, just be you. Be confident in yourself though.
Mr. Hayes, what is advice that you offer to young men? Because we're all ladies here, and y'all have something special that we don't, and it's a little bit different. But what are some issues that you saw happen with some of the young men that you encountered during the pandemic, and what are some solutions that you offered them?
Yeah, so with young men, a lot of times we were never kind of given, just as far as society goes, we've kind of been given this false narrative of we're not able to express our emotions. That's a feminine trait, and there's a stigma around a man expressing how he feels, and the perception of, oh, you're going to look weak, or you're only allowed to express certain emotions. A lot of times, young men, they feel like the only emotion that is acceptable for them to express is anger. And so something like depression, when you're feeling really sad, it might present as anger, but they're really hurting inside. And so I see that a lot with a lot of young men I work with. They don't feel like they have a safe space, or it's okay for them to express when they're feeling a certain way. And so my charge to them is just to allow themselves to be authentic in their emotions, and allow themselves to feel their feelings, and understand that there's more aspects to being a man than just machismo or aggression, or kind of making it seem like nothing gets to you. You're human. You're allowed to have the full spectrum of emotions. So just allowing yourself to, and giving yourself that grace to feel the wide range of emotions, and be okay with being vulnerable. That's not something that comes easy to a lot of men. And so we kind of feel like we have to mask our emotions and mask how we're really feeling. But in all honesty, just being authentic is actually more manly, than kind of trying to pretend that you're not, in that space of being sad or being down. It's okay. It's okay to recognize that in yourself and reach out to people and express that, because the more you do that, the more you'll feel comfortable. And that's a reason why I think just incorporating social and emotional learning in schools early on would be paramount to our community being able to express our emotions in a healthy way. So yeah, man, I just tell every young man I deal with to be okay with where you're at. It's okay to not be okay, and that's something that I stress to them, and allow them that space to be vulnerable.
I think it's a world in which we create like an unrealistic expectation for our young women and our young people. And I hate to say it, but I feel like it comes from social media, because some of the only times that these young black men see a black man in a fully realized way, in a successful sense, is in a music video with a gun, a chain, a blunt, whatever the case is. But then you have all these confusing perceptions of what man you should mold into be. But on the other side of the fence, it's the same thing with women. I see all these big boobs. I see the watch, the car, the Birkin. And I'm like, where are my nails, lashes, and how do I ever live up to that kind of expectation when I'm just a normal girl with normal boobs and normal body? Everything's normal over here. Dejanay or Deja, maybe you guys can speak to that. But impact, I do think that there's definitely an impact from social media that weighs down upon us and kind of can get you in a low spot. So tell me about that perspective for all of you young people.
I can say with social media, I believe they create this visor. Like, okay, yes, you need the Birkin, you need your nails done. Okay, you need your boobs done. Okay, you don't have a butt. Go ahead, go to Mexico, get your butt done.
Colombia.
Yeah, that too.
Gotta get to
But
Colombia with it.
I can say, if you want to do it because you want to do it, then that's fine. But if you're doing it just because it's how everybody else is looking and you feel like you don't look like that, no, you're beautiful. I want ladies to know you're beautiful just the way you are. Whether you don't have to, I don't have nails on.
I'm hearing a lot of realness and need for realness here.
And how many
pictures you got something to contribute here? Like I'm sorry. Hold on, wait. Dr. Shaw?
No, I'm just saying, how many pictures did it take to look like that? How many takes did it take before that? And how many filters and how many, photoshopped or whatever to get that picture too. We always see those pictures, but there isn't that realness where it's just, it's how real is it even when the picture's there?
For sure. And I will say to the young ladies and the young men that even go take it as far as to do things that are towards their body, it should be for you and it should be about you. If you choose to go under the knife, it should be with no impact or no influence from your peers and your other homies. It should be simply because you want that body or because you want that purse. But it comes when you put the Instagram down and look inward for just 1 second. Am I right, Dej?
Yep, you definitely are right. And Dr. You said about, using the filters with Photoshop and using the filters. I am one of those people that use filters, okay? Because there's going to be days where I feel like I am not cute enough today. Like I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Let me feel good in myself. Then I got other days where look, I don't care, y'all gonna get me how I am. So it depends on the mood and how you're gonna let your day flow.
And there's nothing wrong with the filter. I'm just saying that when people compare themselves to you, that then they're like, oh, I got to be all perfect. But it's just like, that could have been a filter. Why are you comparing yourself? And why are you comparing yourself to something else? But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with filter. God made Photoshop. God bless him.
Girl, they gave us filters for a reason so we can get up and post something. Some of us need filters, a little bit. I've seen somebody that needed a filter before. I've seen it. It's like, no, I'm giving you a hard time. Look, but just to reel it back in, Mr. Hayes, you did speak to something that is super important, is that all these perceptions, they sometimes come from our parents and our aunties and our uncles, and it comes in the form of, we gonna whisper behind in church and we ain't gonna talk about such and such who may be gay. Yeah, he's been, or we saw this in him, or, we saw her twerking on Instagram. There's a lot of just rumor that flies around in our household, especially then when it gets down to mental health and we're talking about who's having a tough day. It's like, oh baby, you need to go to church. Let's pray on this. We can get that one off of us. That happens a lot. Am I right or am I wrong? Or is that just me?
No, it's not you.
Absolutely.
So Deja, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
I said no, it's not you.
You see it too.
I see it too.
And sometimes it's hard as a professional when I see the young people that really want to come and really want to get seen, really want to get the treatment, and really work on them, like Brittany said, and then their parents are pulling them away. And so I commend any young person who wants to do that. And if they have to work, to fight the system a little bit, just to keep finding a way to get the help. There's help in schools. There's, people that are in the schools. If you're still in school, there's even on the campuses, just find a way. But, and there's nothing wrong with using spiritual coping and strength. Daisha said it was a spiritual awakening last year. That's a great coping skill, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that has to be your only way either.
Well, what are some things to look for in yourself to know when you need help? When you're just not sure, you're on the fence about it. You said that there is a multitude of options, whether it's shooting a text, whether it's reaching out to a peer advocate, whether it's going to your school or telling your teacher or doing any combination of these things. What are some things that you look for in yourself to be like, hey, things are not kind of all right? Deja, for you, when you were having your awakening last year, what was the moment where you were like, hey, I need to tap on somebody else? Deja, now I need to lean on you a little bit.
So it was my grandfather's first year death anniversary was my spiritual awakening for me. So it was Dejanae. If you want to, you can speak on this too. Would you like? But go ahead.
Okay. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm gonna piggyback off of you because this is you.
This your story.
For me, it just gave me to communicate more, open up, communicate, express yourself more. At first, I wasn't doing that. I was always closed in to myself in a little box, that tiny box where you don't want to come out of. It took me a year to realize I have to come out of that box. I need to open up. I need to stop talking more if it's not professionally. I need to go lean on my friends or my peers or somebody who I know who can relate to what I'm going through at that time.
No, you go ahead. You this is all you, Deja. Take it away.
Man, I was like, oh Lord. but I can say with that, I saw that Deja, something was on her mind. So I went to her and she told me what was going on. The similarities with that, my grandmother passed away the same month, but it was a different year. She passed away years before her grandfather did, but it was the same month. So we was both going through something together. So I gave her my insight on how I took the loss, because I was like her when my grandmother lost her life, her first year. And I was telling her, like, he's looking over you. He's your guardian angel. God has put people on this earth for a reason. And I believe when their reason is up, that's when God wants his angel back. And but
What
I
do you
believe yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And for me,
What do you think are some of the
during
reasons
my,
that people don't? I'm sorry.
I was about to
I'm
say,
sorry. I couldn't even. I'm sorry.
it's okay. But like during my awakening, I did lose faith a little bit. I did, and I'm still on that spectrum where I know I have faith, but I don't have faith. So like I'm questioning my faith honestly during this time period. It's the second year. So I'm still going through that awakening.
I
I'm
think
not
that.
fully there.
No, you're good, but you're good. The thing is, it's a marathon, not a race. I don't think that healing always looks linear. It doesn't look like a bunch of sunny days. There is highs and lows. Same with faith, but that is the time for some people where you look back in, where you got to remind yourself what you're doing it for, and readjust and adapt and turn yourself back into the positive direction. Because that was a year removed, and I send my love to you and your loss, because my grandfather was a big thing in my life, and that was definitely a pivotal thing for me. And that loss shattered my world in ways that you could never understand. But before we get into all the emotions and the hemming and hawing of it, it was just like, that you have a purpose here, and that you're fighting for another day. And there's somebody that did not get that opportunity to claim this day. So you have that responsibility. You have that space, and you have that chance to just reclaim the day. It may not be great today, but things can't suck forever.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, and I
Right.
think and if you feel
Absolutely.
like you don't have that hope and you think that things are gonna suck forever, and that's time when you need to start thinking about help, right?
Okay, so Dr. Shaw, give me the real lowdown on the things that we should look for in ourselves and our friends, some signs that are surefire to a friend that may not reach out to you to tell you the stuff that is going on before it is too late. What are some things that we can look for in our friends so we know to be a good friend, like Deja and Dejanay, to tap on our friend to help out and lift up?
Well, the biggest thing is when you start to see changes. So it might be a little change, like, that they're talking a little less or not hanging out as much, or it's harder to find them. But then, it can also be some other bigger changes where people are starting to talk about not wanting to be here. I just don't want to go on anymore. I feel like I just can't get any better. Like everything is always negative, right? There's no hope. And also, if people start smoking or drinking and doing stuff like that they weren't doing before, and people, Josh talked about the mask, that especially for men, that can be a mask. And if you start saying it's just, this isn't a party thing anymore, this is not a hangout thing, this is not that, this is actually that I'm trying to cover up something, then that's really concerning too. And that's really when you need to, especially if someone's thinking about not wanting to live, the 741-741, text MD to 741-741, call 211, press 1. I mean, there are definitely the things to do. And if you don't want to reach out to those professional people right away, then find somebody that you trust, whether or not that's a good friend, whether or not that's another, older person that doesn't have to be your parent, but just somebody that you trust. Just reach out. That's the most important piece.
I'll say I love the idea of shooting a text, because it levels the playing ground. If you crying and your nose is all snotty and everything, nobody knows what you got going on, but you can text how you're feeling. And Deja, like you said, journaling is helpful. That's you checking in with yourself, and you could be giving that to someone else. Like, hey, I'm having a tough day. These are the things that I'm feeling today. I've been feeling like this for 3 or 4 days. What can we do to help? How can we be solution-based about this? Am I right, Dr. Shaw?
Exactly.
Pivot just a little bit. What are some things that you would tell someone who is thinking about reaching out? They might be on the fence. They just want to, check in with themselves. Deja or Dejanay, you guys can speak on that.
I could say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of getting help. Don't let the stigma get in the way of you getting help. There's nothing wrong if you need to talk to a therapist. A therapist is just a third party person that's not really into your life, but you can take it like this. It's an outsider looking in, and they can give you the most truthful advice without being biased. So
Like an
don't be afraid.
unobjective perspective, right?
Woo!
Did I get that right?
Yes.
And
Objective.
Deja, what about you?
With me, personally, I would say go for it. Because it was times for me, I had to go take a time out and go seek professional help. And to this day, I still do from time to time. Just to get a little self-evaluation going on. Sometimes getting a self-evaluation from your family or your peers or your close friends, that's because they know you.
They're too
It's
close.
nothing. Yeah, it's too close. Like it's gonna hit home, and then sometimes you might want to tell your friends and your peers about themselves after they gave you your self-evaluation versus with the third person party. It's just like, okay, it makes sense what my friends and peers and family members would say. It makes complete sense now, so I know what I need to continue working on.
You are absolutely correct because it's somebody else who's on the outside of the walls. It's not your mama to tell you, like, to point her finger back at you to tell you what you did in that scenario. It's just somebody who is here to listen and be a fly on the wall and help you come to your own solutions. Mr. Hayes, did you have something to contribute on that?
Yeah, I would tell someone that's thinking about getting help. You're not alone. I know when we're going through things, that's when we're in the darkest space. That's when we feel the most alone and isolated. But I want to tell young people that they're not alone. There's so many people that are going through the same thing that you are, and there's people out there that can support you, that care about you, that care about what's going on with you, that will give you a platform to express yourself, to listen, to be present with you in those moments, and just to be patient with yourself, with the process.
Ooh, that's my
I know a
favorite
lot of
saying. Be
times,
patient with yourself.
yes. I think a lot of times, as young people, we kind of, have a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on our shoulders to just have it all together and keep up appearances. And we don't want to, have that perception that, you're falling apart or that things are too much or it's overwhelming. But in reality, we're all just, going through this life thing, trying to figure things out and trying to, be our best version of ourselves. So being patient with yourself is very important with the whole process. I know it's very stressful and can be anxiety can invoke a lot of anxiety just getting to the space where okay, I'm talking about how I'm feeling. I'm talking about things that I haven't addressed or I don't want to bring up that trauma and revisit it. But doing that work is so necessary to be able to get to a better quality of life. So being patient with yourself in that process is very important. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some slack, give yourself some love, give yourself some support when you're going through this journey, because it's important for you to be able to get to the space where you're happy and you're thriving instead of just surviving and getting through things and kind of going through the motions, so to speak, of day to day and different areas and roles that you function in. So be patient with yourself.
If I had a whiteboard, I would write on the board. It would say patience with yourself, growth. Because it is 100% true. I used to close my show with that every single night. Like, be patient with yourself and your self growth. Because you never know what battle somebody is fighting behind closed doors. It's not a linear battle. And some days are higher than others. And some days it's lower than low. And you just got to pull the blanket over your head and just try it again. But
Absolutely.
Just to pause on this moment and leave it on a high point, I do want to take this moment to do because we got Deja here in the room. I got to give it all that gas. She is going to give us a poem. It's called An Ode to My Beautiful Queens, from a beautiful queen ourselves. Tell y'all, let's get into it. Deja.
My fellow queens, you are beautiful just the way you are. This oath is for you, to my melanin gorgeous black queens. The way you may wear your crown, some days upside down, do not forget your daily worth. And remember, you are black girl magic. My soul sisters, do not settle for less. You are and deserve everything that the universe and heavens have in store for you. You have the power to conquer any and everything you choose to be and put your mind to. And remember, you are powerful. Let my words shake, move, and encourage you. And always remember there is always light at the end of every dark tunnel. You are loved, valued, and worthy. Do not forget it, my fellow queens, my beautiful sister. You are regal. You are well respected, shouldn't be treated like an option or may feel less than a human being. Let your light shine and continue being you. Please, please, please remember you are light and love, my goddesses and my queens. Love you.
I need that one in the morning every day. I got to clap for that. I'm sorry. I got to clap for that because that is the uplift that we need. Miss Charlotte Draper said, yes, sis, you are absolutely correct. I need that playing in the mirror back at me so I can have some uplift from Deja like that. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel Coleman, Swift Red Moon. They said, yes, your palm's hitting deep, ain't it?
Thank you. Thank you.
You killed that. I loved it. And I love the background. The butterfly. Miss Danny Bowen said, ooh, snap fingers. You must be really doing it. Let me find. Can you rap, Deja?
No.
Okay, because you halfway there with the poetry. Because maybe you like a female Wale. Because you are from right here at home. Maybe you got something going there. Maybe that's a quarantine talent you could pick up.
I might.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. We might be doing an interview with Deja here soon. Let's find out. But of course, the theme of this program today is the new norm after the storm. And though we are not after quarantine, I do feel like the clouds are opening up just a little bit, like the sun is coming through the blinds just a little bit more. And there is light at the end of this tunnel. What do you have prepared for yourself for the rest of the year and creating this momentum and continuing this momentum? Because we got spring, but winter is coming.
Whew. I think with me, I think I have seasonal depression, because when the winter comes, that's when I feel most vulnerable, when I feel most alone. But spring and summertime, I'm one of my first poems I wrote, I'm a fragile wildflower. Like, I am a wildflower during the spring and summertime minus the pollen. But I really think, for me, when it comes to winter, I think I'm just going to work on myself, continue working on myself, and continue bettering myself, and continue communicating more and opening up more. And I just want everybody to know it's okay. Seek help.
It is okay.
If you want to talk to somebody, talk. It's okay. If you want to sit here and follow me or talk to me, you can. But just know it's okay. And we all got you. Okay.
Come on now, wildflower. I consider myself a bear because we hibernate in the winter and it can be tough for me too. I be getting low, girl, but we pick it back up because this is the spring. We got to get ready for the hot girl summer. It's all thawing off now. I feel great now. Dejanay, preparing for the summer for yourself and preparing for this whole new norm. What are you doing? And what are some things that you're doing to, better yourself for a better Dejanay at the conclusion of quarantine for our new norm?
I can just say I've been working on my craft.
What's your craft?
I draw, I decorate caps, I decorate liquor bottles also, and apple cider. Yeah, I'm in there.
You gotta hustle.
Yeah, but I've also, with me personally, helping me means helping other people in a way. If I see somebody around me down, me helping other people kind of raise back up makes me feel good about myself. So I feel like with that, I can say just working more with advocating, working more with my art, just working more with making sure my mental health is good in the midst of helping other people during this hot girl summer and hot boy summer too. We're not leaving out the boys and the men.
You guys out here.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Advocating, art, making sure my mental health is good.
We can have an icy boy summer too.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. Everybody come together.
Mr. Hayes, with the year ahead for us, what are you offering as advice to your mentees and offering as a hot boy yourself?
Just being mindful of how you're taking care of yourself, just making your health overall, mental health, physical health, spiritual health a priority, and doing what you need to as far as your self-care care, whatever that means for you as far as being able to get some peace and some healing during these times, and just going forward in life, kind of, taking the things that you learned, the healthy coping skills that you learned during this time, and making it a lifestyle, making it a habit, so that, it's seamless as far as, your ability to deal with and navigate through the difficult times in life, because there's going to be difficult times even when the pandemic is over. There's going to be times where it's hard. There's going to be times where you feel alone. There's going to be times where you feel sad, depressed, anxious, fearful of the future. So adapting those skills that you learned during this time, I would say, just learn how to make it a habit and learn how to make it a part of your lifestyle, and learning when you need to take a break. I think the pandemic definitely slowed a lot of people down, and that was the good thing, and it kind of forced them to kind of take account, okay, what are some things I need to work on as far as my overall well-being and just my healing process. So when you need to unplug from the TV or social media or anything like that, being mindful when you just need to kind of take a step back, take account of what space you're in and what you need to do to kind of get back to a good space.
You on it. You on it. You on it right there. I appreciate that, Mr. Hayes. And Dr. Shaw, I will also let you speak to some things that you got with your upcoming year.
Yeah, so I think, one big thing that Josh said is finding things that you did to cope in the pandemic and not letting them stop. So, I started working out during the pandemic, and that the first time for, we won't talk about how many years, and it's the longest I've done it since, and I do want to try to keep it going, and I think that without this pandemic, I wouldn't have, thought about that, because just like Dejanay said, I bought a whole new set of leggings for last year.
For hot girl summer.
So, I think that finding things that you need to do to just to take care of yourself, but then also realizing that the world is going to be different, that we are going into a new norm, that we're going into a new world. We've all lived through a pandemic, something that no other generation, for the most part, that's been alive has lived through, or people are just talking about it from, even still people I know who had family members that lived through the last pandemic still talk about the trauma from it. And so it's okay to be a little bit scared. It's okay to grieve the past that we had, because we know that things aren't going to be exactly the same. But then there are times that if you feel like you're not able to move forward, and you feel like this last year has gotten you stuck, and you feel like you're not moving forward, you're not taking that step forward, then that's really when it's time to get help. It's okay to be worried, but if you're realizing you're not going to school as much, or your grades are dropping, or you're not going to work, or you're not getting the work, you're afraid to move out of the house, or you're just so upset about having to still live in the house that you really don't even want to do new things, or you feel like your life is not going to ever be the same. These are critical years. This age group we're talking about, this, teenage to early 20s, these are critical years of life. And to be able to not be able to go out and become the new person that you're thinking you're supposed to be, because that's what happens in these years, because the pandemic got you stuck, that can be hard, and you don't want that to shape your whole future. So if you think that you're feeling like that's going to shape your future, and your identity is focused on what you missed, and your identity is not focused on what you can be, then that's when you need to start thinking about the text line or the 211. That's really when you start to get that extra help.
Dr. Shaw, you might have you got it in my feelings right there. You like climbed in my heart a little bit. A little bit. So I appreciate all of your perspectives and all of your times today. And we are talking about the new norm and moving past it. We have talked about so many options to adapt and cope and be healthy. So I'm sending y'all into a healthy 2021. I hope that I get to see y'all on the flip side of this. But just to reinforce what Dr. Shaw said, if you are feeling like your days are just kind of extending on in a way that you need someone else to talk to, you can shoot a simple text MD to 741-741 or call 211 and press the number 1 to talk to someone directly. But seriously, guys, I appreciate all of your perspectives. It means so much to me that we got to share this space as one another. I feel a little less isolated myself, and I feel like we did take a step forward in the future a little bit.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And if we got another second here, I do want to give you guys a chance to maybe drop your Instagrams or somewhere else that we could tap in with you guys. But before we move to that, I definitely want to encourage you guys to tune in on June 10th as we have a second viewing. I don't know if I'm on this panel, but somebody's going to be on this panel. And we're going to have a second show similar to this. You can definitely check out the ticker at the bottom. It's got the address, so I don't butcher that. But go ahead and drop you guys' Instagrams also. That's at Little Bacon Bear for me. Dejanay. Oh, she muted. She muted. Hold on, baby girl.
Oh man, I thought I was. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You're back. You're back.
My Instagram is _King J with 6 E's. It's a lot.
We gonna find you. 6 E's.
King
Mr.
J,
Hayes, is
6
there
E's.
somewhere we can tap in with you to say hello if we're looking for some help in our lives?
Yeah, so my Facebook is just Joshua Hayes, and then my email is jihayes20@yahoo.com.
And Dr. Shaw, if we're looking for a shoulder to lean on over there. You muted, Dr. Shaw. You muted. Sorry, boo.
Sorry, they're scrolling through the. That's okay. The Step Forward website, and then also the Prince George's County Health Department through the Instagram, the website, all that. Maybe not. We don't have Instagram, but we have the Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, Miss Deja. Lastly, so we can get some poems, some raps, some everything, some uplift from Deja. Where can we tap in with you?
My Instagram is only.day with 4 E's, and my Twitter is at girl day. Two A's in girl and DAE. So the T, the G, and the A. T, the G, and the D is capitalized.
We gonna work on y'all's Instagram names. We gotta get some I can read, but we can work
I
on
can say you can type in my real name in any platform, and then it'll pop up also.
Deja
And then my Facebook is just my name and my last name. My Facebook is my name and my last name, RHODES.
Well, I appreciate y'all for being peer advocates, and I hope that y'all continue to be best friends. I love y'all's energy amongst y'all. All right, let's wrap this joint. Thank you.
Thank you.